I had left my phone charger at Margaret's house. I drove over unannounced, pulled onto their street, and there it was, burned into my memory. Their car rolled down the road slowly, and behind it, Gian walked. Alone, sweating, dragging her backpack, her face red, her steps clumsy. She was trying to keep up. I slammed my brakes and ran. Gian.
Mommy?
I scooped her up into my arms.
What's your problem?
You're making her walk? She's 6.
She's gaining weight. A little walking won't kill her.
She needs discipline. She's getting soft.
You're making her walk behind your car, to school.
Well, at least she'll stop stuffing herself like a dumpling.
They said fat girls don't get adopted twice.
That was it. That was the moment the last of my restraint died. Then Gian said something else.
Grandma told me if I keep acting bad, Mommy might send me back.
I nearly collapsed. I took Gian home. You never expect to become a mother in a waiting room. 7 years. That's how long Adam and I tried. The IVF, the injections, the prayers whispered into bathroom mirrors. But every month ended with the same heartbreak. Until one day, I just gave up. I can't keep doing this to my body, I told Adam, lying on the floor of our empty nursery. He sat beside me and wrapped his arms around my waist.
Then we stop. But we don't stop dreaming. We change the dream.
We decided to adopt. That's when we found Gian. She was 4, with a quiet, observant gaze and a head full of silky black hair that curled around her cheeks like velvet ribbons. She barely spoke. But the first time she held my hand, I swear I felt my heart breathe for the first time in years. The adoption went through in the spring. We brought her home wrapped in a lavender blanket and our trembling joy. Not everyone was happy.
Oh, she's Asian.
She's our daughter.
Guess that's what happens when your wife can't give you a real baby. That's enough.
I just thought we'd have a grandchild that actually looked like us.
Gian hid behind my legs, not fully understanding, but understanding enough. We tried to give them a chance. Really, dinners, holidays, visits. But they made it clear, Gian wasn't what they wanted.
Don't let her touch the silverware. She uses her hands too much.
She eats like a street kid.
Adam took Gian by the hand and led her out. I followed. I wanted to scream, but Gian needed calm, not fire. And then came the day I made a mistake I would regret more than any in my life. My sister was in a car accident in another state. ICU, broken ribs, a punctured lung. I had to go. Adam had a major product launch that week. No vacation days. We were desperate.
I can take her.
She's family.
We hesitated, but we were out of options. Just a few days, I said to Gian as I packed her backpack. I'll call you every night, okay? She nodded, but I could see the fear in her eyes. When I came back, everything was wrong. Gian's smile was gone, her shoulders hunched, her voice small. Baby, what happened? She looked down.
Grandma said I was bad. She locked me in the closet because I spilled juice.
I froze.
She said I needed to learn manners. Aunt Lisa said I looked like a bug.
Lisa, Adam's sister. Always sneering at Gian's hair, her face, her foreignness.
She said, if I didn't behave, no one would want to keep me.
My hands shook. I called Adam immediately. We're never leaving her with them again.
Never.
But rage wasn't enough. I wanted justice. She started journaling in secret. I found it by accident. Pages filled with crayon drawings and scrawled sentences. They say I'm too dark. They say I eat like a pig. They say I might get sent away again. One entry read, I wish I looked like Mommy so people would love me. I pressed the notebook to my chest and sobbed. Over the next 6 months, I played nice. I invited Margaret over to teach Gian to bake. I smiled while filming. Family memories, I told her.
Don't touch that with your little dirty fingers.
Click, saved. At Christmas, Lisa snapped.
Are you teaching her to use chopsticks again? Maybe you should teach her to act American first.
You coddle her too much. She's not even blood.
But what truly broke me, What pushed me past the point of forgiveness was what I saw one morning, completely by accident. I had left my phone charger at Margaret's house. I drove over unannounced, pulled onto their street, and there it was, burned into my memory. Their car rolled down the road slowly, and behind it, Gian walked, alone, sweating, dragging her backpack, her face red, her steps clumsy. She was trying to keep up. I slammed my brakes and ran. Gian.
Mommy?
I scooped her up into my arms.
What's your problem?
You're making her walk? She's 6.
She's gaining weight. A little walking won't kill her.
She needs discipline. She's getting soft.
You're making her walk behind your car, to school.
Well, at least she'll stop stuffing herself like a dumpling.
They said fat girls don't get adopted twice.
That was it. That was the moment the last of my restraint died. Then Gian said something else.
Grandma told me if I keep acting bad, Mommy might send me back.
I nearly collapsed. I took Gian home, made her soup, bathed her, and sang her to sleep. Then I went into our home office, opened the hidden drive, and compiled everything. Adam came in and found me crying in front of the laptop. We're exposing them. No more polite dinners, no more silence. We burn every bridge.
I'll light the match.
We planned it perfectly. Margaret and Charles's 40th wedding anniversary, huge celebration, all their friends. Lisa flew in, church elders, neighbors, former colleagues. We hired a local event space. As a surprise, we told them, let us throw it. I stood at the microphone, Adam beside me, Gian in a soft yellow dress, holding my hand. I wanted to honor my in-laws with a gift, a celebration of their impact as parents, grandparents, and family. The lights dimmed. The projector began.
Don't touch that with your filthy little fingers.
You don't belong in this country or this family.
She's not really ours.
Then the clip that silenced the room, Gian walking behind their car, the cruel laughter, Margaret saying, let her sweat it off.
That's out of context.
There is no context where you make a child walk behind your car like a dog.
You had no right.
You tortured my daughter. You earned this. The fallout was swift. Margaret and Charles were stripped of their church positions. Lisa lost her job as a private school counselor. Their social group disbanded. No more galas, no more BBQs. Their names were whispered with shame. I uploaded the footage to a YouTube channel, Justice for Gian. Within a week, it had 2 million views. People wrote us from all over the world. Adoptive parents, survivors, even former friends of the family who apologized. Gian got gifts, books, dolls, letters. One child wrote, "You're the bravest girl I know." I wrote a memoir, More Than Blood, What My Daughter Taught Me About Family. It topped the bestseller list in 3 weeks. We used the profits to launch a foundation for abused adopted children. At one book signing, Gian sat beside me.
Do you think about what happened a lot?
Sometimes, but Mommy made it stop.
That night, I cried in the bath. Not out of sadness, out of rage and love and triumph all tangled together. Margaret and Charles tried to sue us for defamation, claimed the videos were edited, manipulated. The case got thrown out in court. The judge called it disturbing and clear evidence of neglect. Months later, I received a package with no return label. Inside was a torn photo of Adam's family and a note.
You ruined us. She'll never be one of us. You'll always be barren.
I burned it. Then I posted it. And this is why she'll never need you. Then came the twist. A year after the storm, I felt nauseous for days. The test showed 2 pink lines. A miracle. We hadn't even been trying. Gian was the first to know. She kissed my belly and whispered, "I'll be the best big sister ever." Margaret and Charles tried to reconnect, claimed they wanted to be involved with their real grandchild. I told them, she is real, and you'll never see either of them. Gian is 15 now, brilliant, sweet, wants to be an aerospace engineer. Some say revenge is petty, but when it's for your child, for justice, it's sacred. They hurt her. I made sure the world never forgot. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd make them walk barefoot. Months after the scandal, the lavish house grew cold and empty. Charles and Margaret, once proud and controlling, found their only company in 3 stray cats they'd reluctantly taken in to fill the silence.
No grandchildren, no family, just these cats.
Charles sat in his worn armchair, eyes distant.
We pushed them all away. We're alone now.
Lisa's life unraveled too. Her position at the private school vanished after the enrollment sabotage was exposed. References dried up, doors closed. Forced to start over, she moved across the state to take a mail delivery job, far from the prestige she once had. I heard a rumor that she once went to deliver a package and was chased by a pack of stray dogs. She ran so hard she ended up breaking her leg, and to make matters worse, her boss is notoriously strict and gave her no sympathy.
Maybe this is what I deserve.
The once powerful family was broken, isolated by their cruelty and pride. And for the first time, they tasted the loneliness they had sown. Thanks for watching.
Hi there, my name is Bobby, and I'm going to tell you about the worst 16 years of my life. By the end of this story, you might think I'm a terrible person, but honestly, I don't care. What I did was what I had to do to survive, and maybe after hearing my story, you'll understand why. I grew up as the unwilling star of my parents' YouTube channel, Pranked by the Parents. For as long as I can remember, my life was just one horrible prank after another. My parents, Alfred and Evelyn, built their entire career around humiliating me on camera. What started as innocent pranks when I was 5 quickly escalated into psychological warfare that left me with scars I still carry today. Honey, get the camera. I just put hair removal cream in Bobby's shampoo bottle. This is going to get us so many views.
Make sure you zoom in on his face when he realizes. The crying always gets us more subscribers.
You did what? Am I going to go bald? That was one of their tamer pranks. I was 7 when that happened. I had to go to school completely bald while my parents uploaded the video of me sobbing in the bathroom. It got 3 million views. As I got older, the pranks became more elaborate and dangerous. When I was 10, they decided to prank me by pretending our house was on fire while I was sleeping. They pumped fake smoke into my bedroom and blasted fire alarm sounds through speakers they had hidden in my room. Mom, Dad, help me. I can't see anything. Keep rolling, Evelyn. Look at him panicking. This is gold.
Try the window, Bobby. Hurry.
I actually jumped out of my 2nd-story window and broke my arm. The hospital staff were suspicious, but my parents had a perfect explanation ready. Our son is quite the sleepwalker. We tried to stop him, but he was so disoriented he just leapt out before we could grab him.
We're just thankful it wasn't worse. Kids, right?
They edited the video to make it look like they had caught me before I jumped, and that my arm was broken in a completely separate incident. That video got them 7 million of views and a sponsorship deal with a home security company. The irony wasn't lost on me. When I was 13, they pulled what I consider their most dangerous prank. They drugged my soda with something that made me extremely drowsy, and when I passed out, they carried me to our backyard pool and threw me in. The idea was to film my panicked reaction when I woke up underwater, gasping and choking. Wake up, kiddo. You're drowning.
The look on his face. This is going to break the internet.
I can't breathe. I nearly drowned that day. I actually had to be resuscitated by a neighbor who heard the commotion and ran over to help. My parents played it off as a prank gone wrong in a tearful apology video that actually boosted their subscriber count and earned them sympathy from their fan base. That video alone made them over $50,000 in ad revenue. After that incident, I realized my parents didn't see me as their son. I was just a prop in their twisted show. I was a walking, talking ATM for them. Every tear I shed, every scream of terror, every moment of humiliation was just more money in their pockets. I started plotting my escape when I was 15. I noticed that after particularly successful videos, my parents would count large amounts of cash and hide it somewhere in the house. One day, I pretended to be asleep on the couch and watched as they disappeared into the basement with a thick envelope. When they came back up, the envelope was gone. It took me weeks of careful searching when they were out of the house, but I finally found their stash. In a shoebox behind a loose brick in the basement wall was over $250,000 in cash. They didn't trust banks, probably because they didn't want to pay taxes on their YouTube income. I waited for the right moment. It came a month before my 16th birthday when they announced they were planning their biggest prank yet for my birthday. I overheard them discussing something involving me being blindfolded in the trunk of a car. That was the final straw. The next day, while they were meeting with some fellow prank YouTubers to collaborate, I took the money, packed a small bag with essentials, and disappeared. I left no note, no explanation. I just vanished. The first few months were the hardest. I found a small apartment in a city 3 hours away from my hometown. The landlord was skeptical about renting to a 16-year-old, but cash has a way of answering questions before they're asked. I enrolled in the local high school under a slightly altered name and kept my head down. I watched from afar as my parents milked my disappearance for all it was worth. They made tearful videos begging for my return. They started a Find Bobby campaign that went viral, all while raking in more money than ever before. I knew it was all an act. If they had really wanted to find me, they would have gone to the police, but that might have led to uncomfortable questions about why their son had run away in the first place. I graduated high school with honors and got accepted to a state university with a partial scholarship. I was careful with the money I had taken, but by then, I had also found a part-time job at a local bookstore that helped cover my expenses. I changed my appearance, grew my hair out, started wearing glasses I didn't need, and generally tried to look as unlike the boy from those YouTube videos as possible. For 3 years, I managed to stay hidden. I was in my junior year of college, studying psychology, ironically enough, when they found me. I was walking back to my apartment after a late study session when a car pulled up beside me. Well, look who we finally found.
Our little cash cow. Do you have any idea how much money you cost us by running away?
Leave me alone. I'm not your prop anymore. They followed me to my apartment building. As soon as we were inside, away from potential witnesses, they attacked. My father grabbed me by the throat while my mother punched me repeatedly. You stole $250,000 from us. Do you know how much content we could have created with you for 3 more years? Millions. You owe us.
You're coming home with us right now. We've already got a comeback video planned. Runaway Son Returns is going to break the internet.
Stop. Please stop hitting me. I'll come back. I'll help with the channel again. They finally stopped hitting me, and I slumped against the wall, tasting blood in my mouth. My mind was racing. I knew I couldn't go back to that life, but I also knew they wouldn't leave me alone now that they had found me. That's when an idea began to form. Actually, I have a better idea. Something that will get you way more views than just me coming back home. We're listening. What if we make a series about me being kidnapped all these years? I could pretend I've been held captive in a warehouse, and the series could be about my dramatic escape and reunion with you guys. People would eat that up.
That's actually not bad. The sympathy alone would be worth millions in ad revenue.
We'd need a good location, though. Somewhere that really looks abandoned and creepy. We should split up and scout locations. I'll look in the industrial district, and you guys check the docks. Whoever finds the perfect spot calls the others. They agreed to the plan, clearly excited about the potential viral success of such a series. I had no intention of finding a suitable location. Instead, I spent the day researching areas known for criminal activity. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for, an abandoned-looking warehouse that local news had reported suspicious activity around. I called my parents that evening. I found the perfect place. It looks completely abandoned, but it's still intact enough to be safe for filming. Here's the address. You should go check it out tonight and start setting up. I need to go home and get some clothes that look appropriately dirty and torn for someone who's been held captive. They eagerly took the address and headed out immediately. I went back to my apartment and waited. The call came at 2 a.m., not from my parents, but from the local police department. Is this Bobby Mitchell? Yes, speaking. I'm afraid we have some bad news. Your parents were found dead at an abandoned warehouse tonight. It appears they interrupted some kind of drug operation. They were both shot multiple times. I'm very sorry for your loss. I played the part of the shocked, grieving son perfectly. I told the police I had no idea why my parents would be at such a dangerous location. I explained that I hadn't seen them in years after running away from home due to their abusive behavior. The detective seemed sympathetic, especially after I showed him some of their YouTube videos. These videos. This is child abuse documented for entertainment. No wonder you ran away. Don't worry, we're not looking at you for this. The warehouse was a known drug manufacturing site for the Castillo cartel. Your parents were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Since I was their only living relative, I inherited everything. Their house, their savings, and ironically, the rights to their YouTube channel with its millions of subscribers. The house was fully paid off, and between their bank accounts and investment portfolio, I found myself with over $2 million in assets. Enough to finish college without working and still have plenty left over. I spent as little as legally required on their funeral arrangements. 2 plain caskets, no service, burial in the cheapest plots available, no headstones. They didn't deserve to be remembered. After graduating with my psychology degree, I wrote a book titled Pranked, Growing Up as YouTube's Unwilling Star. It detailed every humiliation, every dangerous situation, every moment of exploitation I had endured. The book became an instant bestseller and was eventually optioned for a movie. My parents had spent their lives making money off my suffering. In the end, I made my fortune by exposing them. For years, they had been celebrated as hilarious pranksters, creative content creators who pushed boundaries. Now the world knew them for what they truly were: abusers who exploited their own child for fame and fortune. Sometimes I think about what happened to them in that warehouse. Did they realize, in those final moments, that they had been pranked one last time? I'll never know. And honestly, I don't care. After 16 years of hell, I finally got the last laugh. Thanks for watching. Then she smiled. She reached for the buttons on her shirt. And before I could stop her, she ripped it open and screamed at the top of her lungs. "Madeline, what are you doing?" She scrambled to her feet, backing away from me, still screaming. I began to hear loud footsteps, and soon, the class was filled with the students.
He tried to touch me. He almost raped a high school student.
The moment those words left her lips, the entire class went silent. I stood frozen, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. My mind screamed at me to say something, to defend myself, but before I could even process what was happening, a group of students surged forward. Hands grabbed my arms, shoving me toward the door.
You sick bastard! I knew there was something off about him.
I was 27 when I started teaching at Westmore High, and I was already counting the days until I could leave. I thought teaching here would be a great opportunity, a way to gain experience, save up, and move on to something better. But on my first day, I realized exactly what kind of place Westmore was. It wasn't just that I was the only Indian teacher, it was that I wasn't wanted here. The students made that clear immediately. The first day I walked into my first class, ready to introduce myself, it took a different turn. Before I could say a word, someone in the back whispered loud enough for the whole room to hear.
Great! A curry muncher.
They all burst into laughter, making me feel so embarrassed. I tried to figure out who the culprit was, but the students were masters at hiding their guilt. No one would meet my eyes. I was frustrated. It was just my first day of teaching, and I was already having issues. But I let it go. I told myself it was just one comment, just one student. Hell, I was wrong. Every single day was a test, a game to them. How much could they do before I snapped? I had no idea. They left garbage on my desk, wrappers, crushed up chips, sometimes even spoiled food. My whiteboard markers would disappear, only to turn up later with the tips sliced off so they wouldn't work. One day, I walked into my classroom and saw massive writing sprawled across the board in red marker, which said, "Go back to your country." I was shocked. Regardless of my anger, I thought they were too young to be such racists. I turned to the students, waiting for someone to look guilty, to shift uncomfortably, to show the smallest hint of remorse. Nothing. They sat there, relaxed, smirking, waiting to see what I would do. I didn't want to pour my anger on them. I just wished one person admitted so I would have the chance to talk sense into them. I probably made a mistake by not speaking up there and then. Anyway, I wiped it off and started the lesson. Even in the middle of lessons, they would throw bald paper at me whenever I wasn't facing them. And if I looked, they would pretend as usual. It didn't stop there. When I walked through the hallways, students would cough into their hands and mutter slurs under their breath. I'd sit in the staff lounge, eating my lunch, and overhear students outside the door, mocking my accent. An accent I didn't even have. I mean, even though I looked purely Indian, I'd spent over half of my life in America. Before then, I'd lived in Italy for 5 years. So, I had no Indian accent. I wasn't ashamed of my original accent. Hell, I sometimes feel bad for not having it. But it was insane that they were mocking me for something I didn't have. Then there was the time I assigned a history project. When I was collecting the papers, one student handed me a blank sheet with just 3 words written in the middle. Go back home. I kept it. I don't know why. Maybe to remind myself that I wasn't imagining things. But if the others were cruel, Madeline Sinclair was their queen. She didn't just make my life miserable. She enjoyed it. She was the devil herself. And every day I woke up, I prayed and hoped she would arrive a changed person. But of course, that was a dream that would never come true. She came into my class late every day. Whenever I call her out on it, she would smirk and lean against the door frame.
Sorry, Mr. Sharma. I had important things to do. You wouldn't get it because the only important thing to you is dance.
The rest burst into laughter. Some even stood up and danced the way Indians did. It was so infuriating. While her minions did that, Madeline would be on her phone, pretending to not see everything happening. I tried taking her phone away once. She pulled it back before I could reach it.
Are you even allowed to do that? What, do you think this is India? Take your stupid culture to your country. America isn't India, got it?
And of course, she said all that using an Indian accent. I could swear she learned it. She sounded so local. She had time to learn the Indian accent, but never did any assignments. I ignored her and moved on with the lesson. But Madeline found new ways to push me every day. She'd lean back in her chair, raise her hand in the middle of a lecture, and cut me off before I could call on her.
Is it true that your people worship cows? Like, do you guys pray to McDonald's or something?
The class erupted in laughter. They always gave her reactions. I felt so angry and embarrassed, but I kept my expression blank and continued with the class. Another time, she faked a sneeze and immediately covered her nose.
Oh my God, I think I caught something from you. You don't think you gave me any Indian sickness, do you? I don't want to start dancing out of control.
She wiped her hands on her designer sweater and pulled out a bottle of hand sanitizer.
Sorry, just being careful. You know how dirty foreigners can be, especially you Indians. I hear India lacks toilets. I hope Donald Trump sends some money over there to help build toilets.
No one stopped her. No one told her to shut up. If anything, they followed her lead as always. One afternoon, I walked into my classroom and immediately smelled something strong and familiar. I didn't need to inhale too much to know that it was curry. I wondered who was eating curry until I reached my desk and saw that it was covered in curry. Thick, yellow, and dripping onto the floor. Laughter echoed around me. Phones were out, cameras recording, waiting for my reaction. I swallowed hard and turned around.
Oh no, Mr. Sharma. Is it too spicy for you?
More laughter sounded. I was so angry, but I reminded myself that they were kids, and I had to be calm. I spent my lunch break scrubbing my desk, the smell of turmeric and humiliation clinging to my skin. I thought about quitting. Every day, I thought about quitting. But I didn't. I didn't because I refused to let them win. I didn't because I told myself that things would get better. But I was wrong. Because Madeline wasn't done. Not even close. And what she did next just changed everything. Firstly, I noticed Madeline becoming quiet. For weeks, I watched in silence as she transformed before my eyes. The girl who once mocked me at every opportunity, the one who humiliated me in front of the entire class, had suddenly turned polite. It started with small things, a nod in the hallway, a quiet greeting. Then, she started actually participating in class. She turned in her assignments on time. She asked thoughtful questions, never interrupted me, and even told off a student who tried to crack a joke at my expense. I didn't know what to think. One afternoon, I finally asked, "Madeline, did you hit your head or something? You've been different lately."
I guess I just realized you didn't deserve all that crap. That's all.
That was it. No further explanation. And as strange as it was, her change affected the entire class. If Madeline wasn't making fun of me, no one else wanted to either. Slowly, the classroom shifted. The whispered slurs stopped. The laughter at my expense died down. For the first time since I started at Westmore, I felt like a real teacher. And for the first time, I felt like I actually belonged. I was happy and relieved. Because truth be told, I had been one bad day away from reporting everything to the headmistress. Unfortunately, Madeline hadn't changed. She was just preparing and waiting for the perfect moment to ruin my life. It happened on a quiet afternoon during break. I was alone in the classroom when the door suddenly creaked open. I looked up and saw Madeline. As she stepped inside, something about the way she moved set me on edge. I watched her as she came to sit on my table.
You have such a nice voice, Mr. William.
Excuse me?
It's so calming, so deep. I changed because of you. You know? You made me see things differently.
Get to the point. I'm busy. She walked around the desk, stepping into my space. Before I could react, she pressed her body against mine, her hands sliding up my arms.
I want you, Mr. William.
I'd never felt so scared. I grabbed her wrists and pushed her away. She stumbled, lost her balance, and crashed onto the floor. Get outside. For a split second, she looked up at me with wide, stunned eyes. Then she smiled. She reached for the buttons on her shirt. And before I could stop her, she ripped it open and screamed at the top of her lungs. "Madeline, what are you doing?" She scrambled to her feet, backing away from me, still screaming. I began to hear loud footsteps, and soon, the class was filled with the students.
He tried to touch me. He almost raped a high school student.
The moment those words left her lips, the entire class went silent. I stood frozen, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. My mind screamed at me to say something, to defend myself, but before I could even process what was happening, a group of students surged forward. Hands grabbed my arms, shoving me toward the door.
You sick bastard! I knew there was something off about him.
"I didn't do anything. Madeline's lying." But no one was listening. Their voices blurred together in a storm of accusations and disgust, pushing me through the crowded hallway toward the headmistress's office. Students peered out of classrooms as we passed, whispering and pointing. By the time we reached the office, my body was trembling with anger and fear. The headmistress, Mrs. Holloway, sat behind her desk, her normally stern expression replaced with shock as she took in the sight before her. She turned to Madeline, who was still crying tears that I knew were fake, and asked what the issue was.
He tried to touch me. I told him no, but he wouldn't stop. He grabbed me. He pushed me against the desk.
That's a damn lie. I never touched her. She came to me and I pushed her away. We continued going back and forth until Mrs. Holloway decided to speak.
William, I need you to leave the school for the day while we investigate this matter.
I wanted to fight. I wanted to scream that it wasn't fair. But I knew how this worked. A single accusation, and I was guilty in their eyes. So I left. They didn't call me back until the third day. The moment I stepped inside the main hall, I realized the entire school was gathered, including Madeline's parents.
Before we begin, I'd like to personally apologize to Mr. William. We have reviewed the security footage from the classroom. Not only was Mr. William innocent, but the footage also exposed months of harassment and bullying he has endured at the hands of his students.
I could see the shame on the students' faces.
As of today, Madeline Sinclair is expelled from Westmore High. Her actions were not only malicious but criminal. Falsely accusing someone of such a heinous act is unforgivable. And for you, her parents, I leave her future in your hands, but this school will not be part of it.
Madeline's mother breathed sharply, shaking her head in disbelief. Her father looked so angry. Madeline, for the first time since I had met her, looked genuinely afraid. But Mrs. Holloway wasn't done.
As for the students who participated in Mr. Williams' harassment, you will all be suspended for a full month.
Some of them gasped, some burst into tears. Mrs. Holloway ignored them.
And your disciplinary records will reflect your actions.
Some students looked like they wanted to protest, but they didn't. They knew they had no defense. Madeline didn't get a commendation letter. She didn't deserve one. With the report that documented everything she had done, I doubted any school would accept her. She had destroyed her own future. That wasn't enough. I filed a lawsuit for defamation, which I won. Madeline's parents were forced to pay me a huge amount and were so angry that they disowned her. I heard she now lives with her grandmother, who is a farmer, and forces her to work on the farm nonstop. As for me, my story gained a lot of attention. I was invited for interviews and even wrote a book, which became a bestseller. A tree is known by its fruit, not by its leaves. Thanks for watching.
So I doubted that he was lying or exaggerating. The next morning, I stormed into Kevin's school, demanding to speak with his teacher. When I walked into the classroom and saw him standing there, my stomach dropped. It was Tom. For a moment, we just stared at each other, both shocked into silence. Then he smirked. That same infuriating smirk from all those years ago.
Well. If it isn't little Gloria, what can I do for you?
The way he smiled, and now knowing who it was, gave me all the information I needed. It was clear that even though he had grown older, that Tom had not grown up, and that he was still the same old bully that he had always been. Lose the smirk, Tom. I know exactly what's been going on. You can stop bullying my son.
Oh, come on. Don't be so sensitive. Kevin needs to toughen up.
So you don't even deny it?
Nah, that little wuss that you've been raising is too soft and a little pansy. He needs thicker skin, and the best way to do that is to call him a few names and smack him a little. It's what made me the strong man I am today.
Hi there. My name is Gloria. Being a mother is never easy, but being the mother of an autistic child presents a unique set of challenges. My son, Kevin, is my world. I love him more than life itself, but every day is a battle to make sure he's safe, happy, and treated with kindness. My own childhood wasn't easy. I was always the awkward kid, and lots of my classmates singled me out because of that. As someone who knows what it's like to be bullied, I wanted to make sure that he never had to experience it. I spent my entire childhood tormented, especially by one person, Tom. He was such a cruel and malicious person, and he took great delight in making me miserable. When I grew up, I swore that my child would never endure the same cruelty I did. Growing up, Tom made my life a living hell. He would trip me in the hallways, spread rumors, and mock me relentlessly. One time, he locked me in a storage closet for an entire lunch period. When teachers finally found me, he smirked and got off with nothing more than a warning. I spent years trying to forget the way he made me feel. Helpless, small, and unworthy. The worst, though, was when my parents gave me a bicycle with which I could ride to school, and Tom stole it and threw it off the local bridge into a river. I owned it for literally only a single day, and he destroyed it just because he thought it was funny. Once I graduated from high school, I thought that I was done having to put up with him. But life has a twisted sense of irony. One afternoon, Kevin came home in tears. My heart shattered seeing him so broken. He didn't want to talk about it at first, but eventually I calmed him down enough that he was open to talking. Kevin, baby, what's wrong?
My teacher. He's been so mean to me. He calls me names when no one's listening and makes fun of me in front of the class. I tried to ignore it, but today he called me a freak. He forces me to carry his bag to class every day and makes me speak in front of the class, even though he knows I struggle with communication. Mom, I can't take it anymore.
Oh, baby, that's terrible. How long has it been going on?
He's been mean to me for months now, but I didn't want to say anything because he said no one would believe a moron like me. Mama, he makes me feel so small.
Well, I'm glad you told me. Now I can help make things right. I'll get him to stop and to start being nice. Rage boiled in my veins. No one was going to hurt my son. No one. Of course, I had to give this teacher the benefit of the doubt and investigate and find out what exactly was going on. But I had always known my son to always tell the truth, so I doubted that he was lying or exaggerating. The next morning, I stormed into Kevin's school, demanding to speak with his teacher. When I walked into the classroom and saw him standing there, my stomach dropped. It was Tom. For a moment, we just stared at each other, both shocked into silence. Then he smirked. That same infuriating smirk from all those years ago.
Well. If it isn't little Gloria, what can I do for you?
The way he smiled, and now knowing who it was, gave me all the information I needed. It was clear that even though he had grown older, that Tom had not grown up, and that he was still the same old bully that he had always been. Lose the smirk, Tom. I know exactly what's been going on. You can stop bullying my son.
Oh, come on. Don't be so sensitive. Kevin needs to toughen up.
So you don't even deny it?
Nah, that little wuss that you've been raising is too soft and a little pansy. He needs thicker skin, and the best way to do that is to call him a few names and smack him a little. It's what made me the strong man I am today.
Kevin, you idiot. That is abuse, and you had better cut it out, or I will make sure that you lose your job or worse.
Looks like you finally grew some courage, but can it? You were a loser in school, and you and your dumb son are losers now. You have no authority over me.
That was it. I warned him to leave my son alone, but he laughed in my face. I left that day knowing words wouldn't be enough. If I wanted to protect my son, I had to take action. So I made a plan. I started documenting everything. Kevin's complaints, statements from classmates, then took it a step further. I hired 2 thugs to kidnap Tom, beat him up, and force him to confess on camera. They posted the video online. After that, I took my case to the school board. With undeniable proof, they had no choice but to fire him. I mean, it was either that, or suffer a lawsuit from myself and the parents of any other child that Tom had bullied. To inflict even more chaos, I used my skills as a hacker. I worked with companies to find weaknesses in their systems for a fee. This time, I turned my talents against Tom. I hacked into his phone and made it look like he had been chatting with minors. Then, I leaked the incriminating messages online. The internet exploded with outrage, and people started making videos cursing him. His reputation was completely destroyed. But Tom wasn't going to let it go so easily. The school board let him go without any pay or benefits, and as a result, he would never again be able to get a job as a teacher anywhere else. Tom was furious. After his dismissal, he showed up outside my house, seething with rage.
You ruined my life, Gloria. Do you think I'm just going to let that slide? You always were a pathetic little rat.
No, Tom. You ruined your own life. When I was a kid, you made my life miserable. And now you were doing it to my son. Did you honestly think I would let that keep happening? I'm not some weak child anymore. Now leave. You made your bed, now you can lay in it.
Such big words from such a pathetic little runt. What are you gonna do about it, huh? You think you can take me? Do you think you can force me to leave?
What Tom didn't know was that years of anger and fear had fueled me into action. After school, after work, I had taken self-defense and martial arts classes. I had trained for years, learning how to fight, how to stand up for myself. So I was more than a little prepared for what happened next. Tom took a swing at me. I dodged easily. He tried again, and this time, I countered, driving my fist straight into his ribs. He staggered back, stunned. I'm pretty sure that I managed to break at least 2 ribs with my strike, and the pain that reflected on his face confirmed it.
You crazy bitch.
I didn't stop there. I twisted his arm behind his back, wrenching it until I heard a sickening snap. He screamed in pain, but I wasn't finished. I kicked his leg out from under him, sending him crashing to the ground. Another sharp crack echoed in the night when his leg hit the concrete. In an instant, I knew that I had broken both his arm and leg, as both were bent at odd angles. I knew that he wouldn't be hurting anyone else anytime soon. Tom lay there, groaning in agony. For the first time in my life, I saw fear in his eyes. The same fear I had once felt because of him. It felt great to finally get revenge for what he had put me through when we were younger. I knelt beside him and whispered, "If you ever come near me or my son again, I'll break more than just your bones. I will make sure that you will be stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of your pathetic and hate-filled life." That still wasn't enough. I hired someone to make Tom regret his actions. Every now and then, they would break into his house, move the furniture around, and leave horrifying notes written in blood on the walls, making Tom freak out. Eventually, he vanished from town, humiliated and broken. And deep down, I felt something I never thought I'd feel. Justice. Not just for myself, but for Kevin. For all the kids who had ever been bullied by someone like Tom. Kevin never had to worry about that teacher again. After that, I started taking him to martial arts classes, and although he struggled, he found confidence in himself for learning martial arts. It made me feel a bit confident that he would be able to protect himself the same way I had protected myself from Tom. But that wasn't the end of my journey. In the months that followed, Kevin flourished. Without the daily torment of his teacher, he became more engaged in school, making friends and embracing his uniqueness. I watched as he smiled more, laughed louder, and walked with his head held high. One day, as we sat at the dinner table, Kevin looked up at me with big, bright eyes.
Mom, I know what you did for me. Thank you.
What do you mean, sweetie?
I know you got my teacher fired. I know you fought for me. You're the best mom ever.
Tears welled in my eyes as I reached across the table and took his hand. I'll always fight for you, Kevin. Always. Justice had been served, but more importantly, I had given my son the strength and safety I never had. I wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self that it would get better one day. As for Tom, I wasn't done with him yet. I created a fake profile and managed to lure him in with a false job offer, promising a high-paying position in a distant state. We chatted online for about a week, and I gave him a fake contact number. Excited by the opportunity, he booked his flight, only to arrive and realize he had been completely duped. I never responded to him again. I still stalk him online, and from what I've seen, the viral videos ruined his reputation. He ended up working as a janitor at a school. Serves him right. Thanks for watching. She was escorted out, her cries echoing in the marble hall. A week later, the whispers reached us. Her son had died. I sat at my desk staring blankly at the screen, remembering her broken voice, the documents she had all prepared, the tiny detail my boss used to crush her hope. But it wasn't over. She came back. It was evening, the office nearly empty. Only a handful of us remained, quietly finishing the day's work. And she walked in. She wore a plain black dress, the kind of fabric that seemed to drink the light. Her face was gaunt, her eyes swollen, her hair disheveled. She looked like a woman who had been crying for years. Even her steps carried grief. All of us froze as she walked past the reception desk and straight toward Mr. Langford's office. She didn't knock. She stormed in, her voice trembling yet loud enough to rattle the walls. My name is Clara, and I worked at a place called Factoogle Bank. It sounded fancy, modern, even futuristic. But to me, it was just a paycheck. I never thought I'd end up working at a bank, especially not with my kind of past. I was a single mother, juggling bills, my son's homework, and a job that barely paid enough to keep the lights on. People saw me as just another woman who had ruined her future by dropping out of college when I got pregnant. My boss, Mr. Langford, saw me that way too, but he made sure to rub it in at every opportunity.
You should be grateful, you know. With your education, you could be flipping burgers. But here I am, giving you a real career. Maybe one day you'll learn to appreciate me.
I hated him. Not just because of his words, but because of the way he always lingered too close, how he always found ways to corner me after hours.
You know, if you weren't so stubborn, you'd already be in line for a promotion. I've been generous with you, despite your background. But hey, who else would even want a single mother with baggage, huh? You should be happy someone like me finds you worth the attention.
I clenched my fists under my desk. He wanted me to give in to his advances. And when I rejected him, that's when the games began. Suddenly, every project I handled had errors. Every board meeting, he found a way to make me the scapegoat. He painted me as incompetent, unreliable, too emotional. He even told the executives I was late often, when he was the one who made me stay past midnight cleaning up his messes. Still, I endured. I needed the job. My son needed me strong. Another time, during a staff meeting, he joked about my son.
Single mothers these days, always distracted. Clara, maybe if you'd kept your legs closed in college, you'd be running this meeting instead of typing notes for it.
The room went silent. I wanted to scream, but I swallowed my rage. He wasn't just cruel, he was calculating. He wanted me broken. It wasn't only me. He tormented others too. One colleague, Simon, made a small mistake on a client account. Instead of correcting it quietly, Langford called him out.
Simon, are you illiterate or just plain stupid? My 8-year-old could have done this better. Maybe you should quit banking and try selling peanuts on the street.
Simon's face turned red, and the rest of us sat frozen. That was his style. Public humiliation as sport. It wasn't enough for him to humiliate people. Sometimes he destroyed their lives outright. One morning, Paul, a junior analyst, made a tiny error when entering a client's middle initial into the system. The account was fine, the funds untouched, the mistake easily fixable. But Langford saw an opportunity.
This is unacceptable. Do you think our clients pay us millions to get their names wrong? You've embarrassed this institution. Sir, it's just one letter. I can correct it in 2 minutes. 2 minutes too late. If you can't handle the basics, you don't belong here.
Paul's face went white as Langford called HR on the spot. Within an hour, Paul was cleaning out his desk, his eyes hollow, his career shredded for something laughably minor. And as if that wasn't enough, Langford turned to Jenny, the same intern he had already humiliated once.
You, go wash my car. It's parked out back, silver Mercedes. And don't come back until it's spotless.
Sir, I thought my internship was for finance training, not...
Not what? Too good to scrub a few bird droppings? Think of it as character building. You want a career in banking? Start by learning respect.
The poor girl flushed crimson, her eyes darting around the office, but no one dared say a word. We all knew that standing up for her would only put a target on our backs. She left quietly, clutching a bucket the janitor reluctantly lent her. The sight of her walking out to wash his car in the blazing sun made my stomach twist. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a bright Wednesday, the lobby buzzing with clients. That's when an older woman walked in. Her dress was worn, her hair pulled back tightly, her hands shaking as she clutched a folder of documents. She asked to see Mr. Langford. I saw her enter his glass office, hope shining in her tired eyes. She had everything organized: income papers, collateral, medical forms. Everything was in order.
Please, sir, my son, he's very sick. He needs surgery. I've brought every document required. I have collateral, references. This is all I have left. He's my only child. I had him through IVF after years of trying. Please, I beg you.
Everything looks fine, except
He smirked.
one of your utility bills is dated 2 days outside the accepted period. Policy's policy. Application denied.
But that's just a tiny detail. I can get you a new one. The requirement said 30 days and this one is 32. Please, look at the bigger picture. My son's life depends on this.
Rules are rules. I don't bend them. Not for you, not for anyone. If you can't manage basic paperwork, maybe you shouldn't be a mother.
The woman gasped, tears spilling. He waved his hand dismissively, signaling for security. She was escorted out, her cries echoing in the marble hall. A week later, the whispers reached us. Her son had died. I sat at my desk staring blankly at the screen, remembering her broken voice, the documents she had all prepared, the tiny detail my boss used to crush her hope. But it wasn't over. She came back. It was evening, the office nearly empty. Only a handful of us remained, quietly finishing the day's work. That's when the glass doors opened, and she walked in. She wore a plain black dress, the kind of fabric that seemed to drink the light. Her face was gaunt, her eyes swollen, her hair disheveled. She looked like a woman who had been crying for years. Even her steps carried grief. All of us froze as she walked past the reception desk and straight toward Mr. Langford's office. She didn't knock. She stormed in, her voice trembling yet loud enough to rattle the walls.
You took my child, my only son. Do you remember me? I came here with every paper, every requirement in order, and you sent me away over a tiny detail. He is dead now. Dead. Do you hear me?
Langford leaned back in his chair, frowning at her intrusion, then smirked in that cruel, familiar way.
Oh, it's you. Still crying? I told you before, this is a bank, not a charity. If your boy died, maybe that was God's way of cleaning up weak bloodlines.
The room gasped. My heart stopped. How could anyone say that? The woman's shoulders shook, but her eyes burned brighter than ever. She lifted her hands slowly, like she was calling on something bigger than the walls around us.
May the earth take everything you love in return. May your house be filled with grief as mine is. You laughed at my pain. Now may your own tears never dry.
Her words cut through the office like a blade. Some employees lowered their eyes, others stared in shock. Even I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Langford slammed his hand on his desk.
Enough of this madness. Guards, get this crazy hag out of my office.
The security men rushed in, seizing her by the arms. She didn't resist. She only smiled bitterly as they dragged her toward the door, her black dress trailing behind her like smoke. And in that haunting silence she left behind, I knew. Her curse had already taken root. From that moment, Mr. Langford's downfall began. It started subtly. His children, both healthy teenagers, fell mysteriously ill. Doctors couldn't find the cause. His wife was hospitalized for a strange condition too, something that baffled specialists. Then, just 2 months later, one of his kids died.
Do you know what it's like to bury your own child? Do you? No, you wouldn't understand. You're already raising yours alone. You're probably used to tragedy.
He lost control of his temper at work. He yelled at clients, insulted board members. He had a car accident one late night, shattering his leg. His reputation crumbled. The bank quietly pushed him out. And for a brief moment, I thought I was free. But evil doesn't go quietly. He landed another job, at a luxury car dealership. I almost laughed when I heard, how could they trust him with million-dollar vehicles? That's when karma finally caught him. One afternoon, I saw the headline, "Car dealership manager arrested for fraud and gross negligence." Turns out, a client had walked in wearing a luxury watch, stepping out of a rented limousine. The man claimed to be a wealthy investor and wanted to test drive an expensive sports car. My ex-boss handed over the keys. The client drove off, promising to return shortly. Hours passed, he never came back. Panicked, my boss rushed to the lot, only to discover that the luxury car the man had arrived in. It wasn't his. It had been rented for the day, along with the chauffeur. Everything about the man had been fake. By the time police got involved, it was too late. The sports car was gone. The dealership held him personally responsible for the loss. Millions.
Mr. Langford, you've really outdone yourself this time. Scammed by a scammer. You're under arrest.
He tried to run, tried to claim he was framed, but no one cared anymore. The man who once boasted about being untouchable now sat in handcuffs, his face pale, his body shaking. I still remember the day I saw him last. They were escorting him out of the courthouse, reporters swarming around, his once expensive suits replaced by an orange jumpsuit. His eyes, haunted.
Mr. Langford, any comments about the charges, about your losses? This isn't over. I was meant for greatness. This isn't fair.
I almost laughed. Fair. He had destroyed lives, mocked pain, exploited desperation. And now, he had lost everything. His wealth, his family, his dignity. And me? I had survived. I didn't need to lift a finger. The curse of a grieving mother had done what I never could. The twist? Months later, I bumped into that same woman in a grocery store. She looked frail, but her eyes still carried that fire. I approached her cautiously. "Ma'am, it's you. From the bank. I remember. I'm so sorry about your son." Her lips trembled, but she smiled faintly.
Child, I told him that day, when he mocked me, that the earth itself would remember my pain, and it did. You see, some debts are paid in money, others in blood.
I shivered. She touched my arm gently and walked away. I never saw her again. Now, every time I walk past that old bank building, I think about him rotting in prison, scammed out of the life he thought he controlled. And I whisper to myself, maybe dropping out wasn't the worst thing that happened to me. Maybe working under him wasn't a curse after all. Maybe it was the setup for his downfall. I smile, tuck my son's hand in mine, and keep walking. And that's the story of how my toxic boss tried to ruin me, tried to make me pay for rejecting him, only to end up destroyed by his own arrogance and the curse of a grieving mother. So, yeah, guys, moral of the story? Don't mess with single mothers, or grieving mothers, or really just don't be a terrible human being, unless you want karma to drive off in your car and never come back. Anyway, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hey, drop a comment if you've ever had a boss you wish got scammed like that.